We continue learning Dirshu Mishnah Beruraha Hilchos Tefillah Siman Kov Chas, and we're up to Sif Yud Aleph as we continue learning the slightly complicated halachos of Tashlumim, and most particularly all the different variables. But the one detail we really should always keep in mind that will help many scenarios is the one rule that we learned in the beginning, is that the first tefillah is your chiyuv. Yemei Shachar, you daven two minchas. The first mincha is mincha. The second mincha is shachars. If you were to do that, a lot of the other issues that come up when one inevitably will forget, Yalviyavay, etc., will be mitigated by the fact that at least the one of the chiyuv was done appropriately. And we continue with Sif Yud Aleph and says the Mechaber, Ta b'mincha shel Shabbos isval shmona esrei v'lo yizkir shel Shabbos. You made a mistake on Shabbos mincha and you forgot to mention Shabbos. So it's called you didn't daven. So misval b'maisai Shabbos tayim v'ino mavdol b'shniyah. You daven Maisai Shabbos 2 times. And that's the rule we just said. The first one is Ma'ariv. So of course you say Atachan Tanu. The second one is backwards Mincha. So there's no Atachan Tanu. Yisrael Isa B'Tayras Nedava. But you should do this as an Nedava. Ve'ino Yitzarech L'Chadesh. But you do not have to add on anything into the Yitzarech L'Chadesh but Davar. V'u'adin says the Mechaber Em Lo Yizkir Yal V'Yavu B'Mincha Shal Rosh Chodesh. The same thing is true that you're going to daven 2 Ma'arivs, but one as in a dava, but you do not have to be mechadesh anything. We continue with the Mishnah Beruraha, Sif Katan Lamid Beis, says the Mishnah Beruraha, B'Maisai Shabbos Shtayim, Yesh Bazeh Machloikes. Hatayis is b'shem Reis V'Yerlu Deizar Lachzah B'Shvil Zeh. Taisus Shem the Reis says you daven mincha. The fact that you didn't say Shabbos, you don't have to go back. Dak Kvaris Balshon Esrei, Rakshe Shachar Shel Shabbos, Ukshiyash Lis Balshon Esrei V'Leiskir Shel Shabbos. And what's the Tashlumim? Daven 2 Ma'arivs. But when you're doing the Tashlumim, you also don't mention Shabbos. Ma'yavich was that Tashlumim? Says Taisus Shem the Reis, what are you gaining? You're doing the same thing again. But the Chachmei Provincia say no. The Masha is Balshon Nasi below Shabbos. That would you daven Shon Nasi without Shabbos. Havi Keilu Lo Yispalel Klal. So if you didn't daven at all, Kimish also continue, you didn't do the right thing. Valkena therefore Yechriya Poiser Jechzi Yispalel. Be'Toiras Nedava. Due to this incredible Machlaikas Rishonim, what do? Daven again as in Nedava. Ve'Eintar Lechadesh. As we've seen in the past, the fact that you're going back to be yotzei, that shita, that itself is considered a chiddush. So if you should do a b'taris nedava. You should make it tanai. You should make a stipulation. You should say, "Im chayvani erizel chayvasi, v'im lav erizel nedava." Vayin pri megadim v'adin l'chol safek poluk to the ravasi yisvalim nedava. Says the pri megadim that from here we see a klal. Anytime we have a machlaikas, you're going to daven as a nedava. But tonight she safek poluk to mamish. But says the Mishnah Beruraha, be careful, lest it really be a machlaikas. Lo yachid neged Rav, lo kata neged gadol. Doesn't mean epis any shita in the world. It means a proper, verified machlaikas like we have over here. Taisus b'shem the Reis versus the Chachmei Provincia. Va'az dina k'mo b'safek im isbal. Va'ayin le'el semin kov zayin siv aleph. U'b'shavas yantav im misal tefillah safek. As we've seen already, Shabbos and Yantav, you're not allowed to do a tefillah misafek dein yasna, excuse me, because you can't make it tonight. Why not? Maybe you nedav Shabbos, because no, nedavas and Shabbos was simin kov zayin, as we have seen. And then as Osbal Motzei Shabbos, let's say one is an Oynes, and he didn't daven Motzei Shabbos, so Abayom Shtei Tefillos, achas l'chayv, achas tashlumim. One is a chayv, and one is tashlumim. V'loi, as we turn over the page over here, v'loi yoymar atan k'chon antanu. Because on Ma'isa, it's not Motzei Shabbos anymore. So therefore, says the Mishnah Beruraha, you're not going to have to chatanu. Aval b'shal hivdal, even though you didn't do Avdal yet. Kain kasam k'nesik gdol b'shem aradvaz. So kasam k'ram b'sim reish sadi dalish shlo yoda es taimoi ayin sham. Say for Magi Barim hetek is taimoi man of zelo shanai. So the Magi Barim explains, the filo dayin lo hivdal, he's our lo marta chatanu. Again, it's Sunday morning. You don't take Atachatanu, Kiva Shachayev Lahavdil. So take the Tashlum Davar Sheish Lo Tekana. There's no Tashlum for something that has the Tekana, Kiva Shatachanatanu, Yesh Lo Tekana Bavdala, ain't no Tashlumim. So someone falls asleep on Shabbos, wakes up Sunday morning, misses Meir, he davens 2 Shacharis, but no Atachanatanu, why not? Because that is going to be mitigated and corrected via saying Havdalah. Let's look at Dirshu note number 6 over here. Says the Dirshu v'misval v'hivdal b'tfila. But you left out saying talamatar, which is I don't want to say a common case, but because you start that at Ma'ariv, could be that one misses it. So you dive in the Ma'ariv and you said Havdalah, but you missed something. Then now you have to repeat Shemona Esrei. He says when you go back, you do not have to say Havdalah again. Why not? Since right away, when you say Havdalah, you're allowed to do malacha. It's not mistaver, beautiful svara, that after you forgot to see Dalmater, you have to go back, it's going to be Isser. Meaning, go in real time, says Rosh Hashanah. You're middle of Shemona Esrei. Atachaynein, atachantanu, baruch atah Hashem, chaynein adas. Boom. That moment, you're allowed to do malacha. It's true, you're middle of Shemona Esrei, something you really could do, but you're allowed to do a malacha. You continue Shemona Esrei, baruch aleinu, v'sein bracha. Now you have to go back. Baruch atah Hashem. Now you have to go back and repeat Shemona Esrei. Says Shlomo Zalman, what's going to happen now? It's going to go back and become Shabbos again. Shlomo Zalman says it's neged asvara. If you don't have to say Atachanatan the second time, and therefore says the Dirshu over here, Yesh la'ayin, that what happens in Tov b'tfilah before you made Havdalah. Kigoin. What in the summary you said Merid Geshem, and then you remember after you said Atachanantanu, then you would have to say it again, meaning if the whole svara of Shlomo Zalman is that once it becomes a mutter, it doesn't become aser, so what if it never became mutter? What if the thing that you forgot was in Merid Geshem before the Atachanatan and Shemona Esrei? So now it never became mutter because you had to repeat the whole time, then seemingly the next time you would have to say Atachanatanu. Patar Chaschayim, the Spinker Rebbe says that even when you forgot Merid Geshem or Melech HaKadosh, when you go back, you don't say Havdalah a second time. A Meir Dika Machloikas. We continue with Sif Katan Lamed Dalid in the Mishnah Beruraha. Hu Adin. This is going on the end of our Sif Yud Aleph that said, so too if you forgot Ya'al V'Yav Mincha of Rosh Chodesh. So says the Mishnah Beruraha. Ratzalaimer. What does this mean? Shenachad Gamkin Lisval Arvis Tefila Shtiyat Tashlumim. You forgot Mincha and what was the case again? I forgot the case. You forgot Ya'al Yavai on Mincha of Rosh Chodesh. So that's the Mishnah Beruraha. And now it's the time of Ma'ariv. So Ratzalaymar, what does this mean? Nachan Gamkin Lisval Arvis Tefila Shniyah Hashlama. You daven Ma'ariv. And the second Ma'ariv, you daven Es Tashlumim. Teres the Dava V'Hainu Gamkin Mitam. The same thing as the previous halacha. Even though the reason why it's in a Dava because you're not really gaining anything. Because in the second tefillah, you're not saying Ya'al V'Yav because it's ready Ma'ariv. It's ready the next day. It's ready after Rosh Chodesh. Kvar Avar Rosh Chodesh. Utfilah Shemona Esrei Kvar Spalel. Aval B'Leila Gam Ki Rosh Chodesh. But if it's a 2-day Rosh Chodesh, Kol Alma Yisbal Tashlum in this case. Yavir Shem Ya'al V'Yav because you can't say Ya'al V'Yav King Kotzim Magen Avram. V'skimu Yimai Achronim. Oy Kotzim Magen Avram. To Adin B'Leil Yontav Sheni. So too on the second night of Yontav Ratzalaimer. Let's say you messed up and you're having a weekday mincha and yantiv. Everyone will agree that at night you should have 2 ma'arivs because since it's still yantiv, you are gaining by saying your second Shemona Esrei. That now you're davening your mincha appropriately. The Slach argues we continue with Sivkat and Lamed Hey. That what did you forget? You forgot Ya'al V'Yavai. B'diyuka Nakal V'Yavai. Dafka we spoke about Ya'al V'Yavai. Why? Dim Shachach Tal Umater Mashav Ruach M'Shavz Shchesh V'Mincha. Let's say you forgot something else. You have to repeat Shemona Esrei on Mincha. Oy Shachach Shar Davar Hamatzricha Lachzar Uleisval. Kuli Alma Yizal Arvish Shnayim. Then there's no Shaila. Of course, you'd have a Ma'ariv 2 times. You have because you got the tefillah. Meaning the whole nikuda here is that you're not gaining anything by the second tefillah because you're not saying Al V'Yav in the second tefillah. But if you are gaining in the second tefillah, how do you gain in the second tefillah? For example, if you forgot something that makes that you didn't daven, you forgot Mashav Aruach, you forgot Saint Alumatar, then of course you would say it again because you gained the tefillah. So Rosh Chodesh is Friday, and it's only one day of Shachar Mincha last year. Rosh Chodesh, and if you got Rosh Chodesh in Friday's davening, and you forget, and you remember only once it's Shabbos, it's dark outside. This case says the Mishnah Beruraha, there's no tashlumim at all on Friday night. Why? So what? So wait, do an adava like the rest of the sif, but no, you don't do that on Shabbos. Let's say Mishachris, Kishamash Mincha Zal Tila Shavos, Vimta V'Teshlumim V'Yisrael K'mo Sheisur Ruil Yisrael B'Shachris. In a Chazi, you don't do it again. V'Chinim Lo Yisrael B'Mincha V'Yom Shalfnei Yom Shevaschil Lemer Saint Alamatar. Usal Arishtai, and the day before Saint Alamatar, you missed Mincha, so you have to do two Ma'irivs. The Ma'iriv that you began saying Saint Alamatar, Yishal Matar B'Shneim, you say Saint Alamatar by both. With the evidence, if you didn't, you're going to be yoytze. We finish up Siman Kov Ches, a Siman that's not as difficult in din, but really just in the details that we say Sif Yod Beis. It says the Mechaber, Atayu Maskir Ma'ira Sha'ar Yomim B'Tfilah Shaloi B'Zman Alev Esakuf. Randomly on I don't know, a Tuesday, you said Chag HaMatzos is there. Lo have saka miu, says the Rambam. And this goes shita. If you realize that you're messing up, stop even in the middle of the bracha. So says the Mishnah Beruraha, Sifkatan Lamid Zayin Shalei Bizmana. Says the Mishnah Beruraha, what's the case? Keep going. Sheski Alvi Avai Shalei Berosh Chodesh V'Chol Shalmoid. Rosh Chodesh. You start saying Alvi Avai. Or Sheis Shal Shabbos Yontav V'Chol Kayamno. You add in Shabbos and Yontav in such a scenario. You realize afterwards, lo you have hafsaka, is that considered a hefsek if katan lam and ches, you don't have to go back. If it's a real hefsek, you have to repeat the Shemona Esrei. Or go back to that bracha. No, you do not. It's not considered a hefsek. Says Mishnah Beruraha, Moisach Chreinim do not agree. This is no different than talking in the middle of davening. The pasuk Shulchan Aruch allows him to go you got to go back. And the first three and last three brachas of Shonasi, those are blocks by themselves. You don't go back to the beginning of the bracha, you go back to the beginning of the block of three. That saying the wrong tefillah in the wrong type of year is considered like talking and you have to go back. Says there Chaim. That's only if you mention it, it's not Shaykh. You randomly say the tefillos of Aseres Mei'tshuva during the year. There's no Zachrenu today. There's no Kasveinu today. Hashem's not writing anything right now. Shu Sheker Muchlat. It's a proper, verified falsehood. Okay, then it's like you spoke in the middle of davening. Aval. If it wasn't false, keep going. What's the case? It's not false. You didn't say right. He says Hashem is remembering us for life. That's not a sheker. Hashem always remembers us. It's also not a sheker. Hashem gives us das to understand, to discern, etc. And that's sheikh the whole year. To give thanks to Hashem. That Hashem gives us a heart to understand and knowledge to know. Or if you said Al Yavo and you didn't add in the words Rosh Chodesh, so what are you saying? Hashem is Yalev, Yavov, Yagia. Hashem is wonderful. He's above and He's looking, etc. To lo have a sheker. Just like you're adding on. It's forbidden to add in anything in Shemona Esrei in the first three or the last three brachas. It's not like you were mafsik. It's not like you spoke. That is the end of the words of these Roiv Achreinim that are arguing. Nope, this is the Derech Chaim, excuse me. The Derech Chaim is differentiating in which tefillah you add in, whether it's a sheker. And we conclude with the words of the Chayadam, Chayadam Kal Chavei Shekazav Vein Leinin Sicha B'Shayking B'Tefillah Vein Leinin Sheitzki Davar Shaloi B'Zmanoi B'Diavad Am Lo Chazal Tefillas HaBracha. If you didn't go back, even Shesim HaBracha once you finished, Av Shahaisa B'Davar Shaloi Yinyani, even though you added in something inappropriately, Einoi Rashay Lach, so you don't have to go back. Kol Shkim Kvar Shaloi Tefillah, certainly if you finish Aisham B'Tayim B'Nishmas Adam, and I guess the Eitzah is Davin from a sitter.